Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Did you enjoy your lunch?
And I also wanted to mention that the Essassani seed crystals that I'm not sure if everyone really understood what that was about. Did anybody have any questions in terms of what the crystals are or how they function? What are they? Well, we've been, he told us about them about a year ago, and we've really been going through a lot to get them made and to get them exactly the way that we want them. And what will happen is when we get the crystals in, then we have Bashar charge them. And what that does is it's charged in a way that acts as well, of course it's a permission slip. Everyone knows it's a permission slip. But what it does is it gives you a harmonic resonance to tune into. And it makes you a point of contact in the sense of an invitation for contact. And so what happens over time is that if you have a planet filled with people that are beaming the energy of wanting contact and welcoming contact, that's one of the ways that we shift to a parallel Earth where we're actually having physical contact. So that's what the crystals are designed to do. But I mean, just as an aside, to me, they're also kind of like having a Dick Tracy decoder watch. Because you'll see when he tells you stories about his planet and everything, it just brings out the child inside of you, that creative aspect of yourself that's unfettered, that's not skeptical, that just wants to have fun. And I really think that that's a lot of why they also gave us these crystals, was to give us an opportunity to have some more fun and to play with it and to play with them. So, and I know we're going to take a few minutes and let Kirby tell you about the holotope, because that'll come at the end, and that's designed to anchor the information and the energy that he's given you today, because we really want everyone to have the fullest, most wonderful lives. And this technology that Bashar is giving to us can radically change your life if you want it to. So thank you all very much for being here, and let me turn it over to Kirby so that he can tell you about the holotope and how it works.
Hi everyone. This is the holotope. The holotope was invented by Randall Fonts, who's sitting right here. Thank you, Randall. Randall was a longtime creator at the Exploratorium in San Francisco for light projects, light and sound projects, and he's devoted his whole life to creating visual representations of the inner self, and he's really hit it on this one. So, and I'll just briefly describe the mandala shape, the circle, in mathematics is called a Gaussian polytope E8. It's actually a derivative of the Gaussian polytope E8, which is a 248 dimensional object. This is an 8-dimensional object as a relation to that. And currently in modern physics, in a certain section of particle physics, they're using the E8 as a model for the construction and description of the atom. So what we're looking at is, from a supersymmetry point of view, is what Bashar calls the one particle that exists in everything and everywhere, that's traveling at an infinite speed, appearing to be everywhere at once. And that's the primal pathway that particle is traveling. Okay? So what we're looking at is the atomic structure of our reality. And what Randall's done is he's painstakingly layered each of the 8 dimensions with different colors. And we'll be projecting different colored lights onto the holotope so that you'll be able to see the different aspects of those dimensions. And we'll be strobing them in different types of brainwave patterns that your mind will begin to assemble the 8 dimensions. And hopefully you'll pop into that 8-dimensional field. Okay? So it's really quite an experience. Yes. The other thing I want to point out is the fractal patterns in somewhat the backdrop. It's an equal partner in the experience of the holotope. Fractal math is demonstrative of nonlinear creation. We're taking very simple patterns and elaborating them in infinite ways. So it represents the nature of our reality. A rock, the structure of a rock is a rock, but no two rocks are the same. It's infinite in terms of that variation, such as we as individuals are all human, but represent the multitude of humanity, of the 6.5 billion of us. So that's what the fractal patterns in the backdrop. And as we project the lights, it'll breathe back and forth between the supersymmetry and the infinite creation, sort of masculine, feminine breathing in and out. And what I love about this is as people being representative of our sort of prime consciousness, primal consciousness, that a lot of things happen. People's innermost psyches, innermost spiritual connections begin to become revealed to them. So you might see past lives or parallel lives or the kinds of alternate realities that we're looking for to teleport ourselves to through this method and means. It's an eyes open meditation, and implicit in that for us is inviting the conscious, waking, rational mind into the dream time, into the altered state, into the multi-dimension. Most spiritual traditions up to this point has regarded the ego mind as something as an obstacle to getting into these states. But we're at a level now where we need to integrate that last part of ourselves, that last part of our evolutionary self into the subconscious, into the unconscious, connecting with our higher selves and our soul. So this is the engagement, and when this happens, we recommend that you basically stare at the center, and as you stare at the center, soften your gaze. You'll be able to receive information from your peripheral vision, which receives a whole different level and frequencies of information. So you'll be receiving it through your conscious mind and through the peripheral vision of more your subtle states of reality as well. So that's the type of engagement we're looking for here. What else do I want to say about it? It's beautiful. We're definitely on the path of beauty here, and beauty entrances. Beauty brings a sense of timelessness, a sense of the bigger picture to our conscious awareness, a sense of belonging, and that's what we're trying to convey here in terms of this reflection of who you are at the most deepest level. So enjoy the journey, and here we go.
Thanks, Kirby.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kirby. And of course, these gorgeous crystals up here are from Kirby also. I mean, we like to give Bashar an environment where he feels like he's at home. Oh, wait a minute, he is at home, isn't he? So let's see, are we ready to go? You're ready? 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 You
No.
ready?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
Sorry.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and on with the excitement and the journey.
Or it'll say, let us continue this transmission. First and foremost, we will augment something that you said and something that you said. With regard to the idea of what is being called the contact crystal, the seed crystal, as far as permission slips go, obviously, as was explained, this is specifically tapping into the idea, the archetypal collective consciousness idea that there is a particular frequency or vibration that represents the blending or connection between your civilization and other civilizations. That is one of the frequencies that is put into the charge, in a sense, that is represented by that particular idea, object, permission slip. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to always use that idea, that object, because again, permission slips are what works for you. At the same time, and in conjunction with what we were saying earlier in this transmission as to how there is really no separation between intention and action, between the physicalization, the physical act being that demonstrates and in a sense actually creates simultaneously the intention. The physical act of having a symbol of that nature, a permission slip of that nature, is similar to the idea of physically casting your vote for contact. So the more votes are cast in whatever way that occurs, in whatever form the permission slip feels right for you, the more we can tally those votes, because not just of the intention of wanting contact, but the actual physical act of physicalizing it in some sort of physical way, a physical symbol that is representative of a physical action you have taken that is actually the casting of a vote. And that vote resonates very strongly in your collective consciousness to us. So it really truly changes the vibration of your collective reality. So that is what we wish to add about that idea. With regard to the holotope, going to be both a little bit more poetic and a little bit more literal. On the poetic side, when it comes time for the holotope experience, what you can perhaps also recognize, if you wish to, if it works within your imagination, as you look at the design, and many of you may have already thought of this, think about the idea that as you sit there with your eyes open, looking at the center, being that it was described to you as the underlying pattern of creation itself, of existence itself, poetically, it could be said that you will be staring into the eye of God, and it will be staring back. You will truly see each other. And in that, in some ways on the more literal side of the concept of reflectivity, what you are also looking at when you look at the holotope is your own reflection in a mirror. So think about that as well when it comes time for that particular experience. And I will remind you, this duality blended into one idea will allow you to truly take advantage of the depth of focus, speaking in a kind of a camera term, the depth of focus that you can actually get out of this image in terms of dimensionalizing it for yourself. To see it as the eye of God, the eye of creation, and your own reflection will actually allow your consciousness to shift back and forth between those two ideas of the macro and microcosm, and truly allow you to feel that pumping communication back and forth, developing, strengthening your relationship and your communion with creation itself. So those two things we would wish to add to what has already been said. But at this time, allow us to continue with the idea of communication. You may proceed with further questions if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. I have 3 questions.
One, two, three.
Yes.
We
so
will
far.
see how far we get.
Okay. The first one is about permission slips, and I just wanted to clarify, if everything is really a permission slip, are cleanses and foods and vitamins and minerals and surgeries and all of that really just permission slips?
They are all permission slips. At the same time, there are permission slips that also take advantage of the collective momentum of your collective agreement, and so will work for many of you simply because you've already agreed to the rules of physical reality in general. In other words, even gravity is a permission slip. It is, however, less likely that many of you will simply start to float, simply because the theme you chose to explore doesn't necessitate that you have to cancel the permission slip of keeping your feet on the ground in order to have your experience in life. So while all those things are permission slips, many of them are also representative of the automatic or automated general agreement so you just don't have to think about too many things. And sometimes you know that going down a certain path that is representative of a general agreed upon permission slip can sometimes simply allow you to go through life a little easier, rather than simply feeling that at every given moment you have to find that one belief that will allow you to transform or overcome that generally agreed upon belief. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
Does that answer your question?
yes.
All right.
I think.
And?
Well,
Oh, well put.
well, no. Well, it's the amount
Is this
of,
your second question,
No,
or is this a subset of the first question?
It's just about the first one.
Yes.
With regards to foods, I mean,
Yes.
I really believe that we don't really need the types of, the foods that we really are told that we need, and the calories, and this and that, and the protein, and all of that. in
Body
order to exist.
consciousness can usually tell you very easily what it is that's appropriate for you. And different people may be at different stages as to what they need to ingest to allow themselves to represent an equal relationship between the idea of food and sustenance and the idea of allowing yourself to continue through physical reality. The idea, though, fundamentally, is that if you're truly acting on your excitement and you're not waiting to act on your excitement, then your energy will not have to turn into mass and you will not gain weight. The idea thus then is that if you flow your energy, you will not be waiting, and when you are in the higher energy stream, you will automatically be attracted to only eat certain things that are also of a similar vibration. But even as you go up the scale, there may still be certain things that you will eat, and it really depends more upon your relationship to that thing, and as long as you feel you have a beneficial, positive, and loving relationship with the idea that that food is doing service to you and that you are blending and combining to be a greater whole, greater than the sum of the parts, then you can still have certain substances and still be representative of the idea of increasing your vibration. You don't always have to eliminate something in that context to increase your vibration as long as you have a beneficial relationship with it. But trust your body consciousness. When you are really flowing with the energy that is truly you, you will automatically know what you feel like actually putting into your body, and there will suddenly be certain things you just won't need and won't have the urge for.
Cool.
Let it be automatic.
Yes.
But be clear on the difference between the idea of what you think you're excited to eat and what you're only eating because you're defining anxiety as excitement. You have to be clear about the idea of what energy you're actually using. You follow?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
And then,
My second question is, I heard you mention one time, a woman asked, what is memory? And you said, I believe you said memory is something that you're linking to a parallel reality.
memory, what we said, is being created in the present. And the idea is that, yes, it is connected to the concept of parallel realities that you are cross-connecting to, that you deem to be relevant to what it is you're experiencing now. Because when you actually become a different person, a true different person in your mind, when you know you are different every moment, you actually, in a sense, are changing your history and thus can actually change your memory. You follow?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So we really shouldn't spend any time thinking about our past.
What
for the most
past?
part. Exactly. Yes. Thank
There
you.
actually is no such thing as the past. There actually is no such thing as the future. What time is it? Now.
Yes.
No matter what time it is, it will always be now. Now is the only thing you can actually experience. You can't actually experience the past now. There is no such thing. There is only the experience of now. So what you call the past is simply another now from a different perspective, a parallel now.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes. Thank you.
But you create this time-space linear continuity relationship with it that allows you to think it's something that is no longer around, when in fact it is. It's just that you've changed your relationship to it. You've changed your perspective in relation to that idea, to that arrangement, to that parallel reality, that simultaneously coexistent reality. You understand?
Yes.
All right.
Good. Thank you.
Yes.
My last one is, you said once a habit is recognized, it's no longer a habit.
By definition.
By
A
definition.
habit is something you do you don't know you're doing.
Right.
Once you know you're doing it, it's not a habit. If you keep doing it, it's a choice. And you have to find out why you would keep choosing to do something you don't prefer to do. That's where you can get deeply involved in the investigation of what definitions and belief systems you have. But the first step is to be in control of that by knowing that once you're aware of something you're doing, once you're aware of a behavior, it's not a habit. You can't relegate it to a pattern or a habit because that's an unconscious act by definition. Once it's conscious, it's a choice. So the question naturally becomes, what would I have to believe is true in order to keep choosing something I don't prefer? And that leads you down the road to investigating and discovering what that belief is so that you can change it.
So that can apply to anything like illnesses, cancer,
Yes,
what else? Weaknesses, anything.
anything.
Good. All right. Well, thank you.
Does that help you?
Yes, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you so much for the knowledge that you bring.
And for allowing us to reflect back to all of you what you already know.
So I have 3 questions.
Oh, all right. Another triad.
Yes. Does the body have the ability to heal regardless of what trauma that has been through? Even after surgeries, trauma, viruses, damage, all kinds of damage to the body, does the physical body really can it heal 100%, really?
Yes. Now, again, you are talking about the idea of quote-unquote circumstances that are relevant to what theme you are exploring. Certain themes you are exploring may not have chosen for the body to be allowed to heal, but in the generalized answer, yes, the body is capable of healing from anything. Anything. But you have to be in the right vibration to allow it to do so. And again, taking advantage of the collective agreement of the ideas in physical reality that you allow yourselves to generally be affected by automatically, you can aid the body in that sense vibrationally in its ability to heal from just about anything by doing certain physical things that are representative of being in alignment with the collective agreement about what health is, such as detoxification. Because if you live in an environment that you actually believe to be toxic, your body is absorbing those toxins. Those toxins lodge in your cells. So no matter what it is you put in your body that might be beneficial, if the cells are blocked from absorbing the nutrients by being full of toxins, then putting all that will not help you. But if you flush your body of the toxins and make room for the nutrients, then when the body has the building blocks it needs to heal itself, it can heal itself from anything. So that's one approach to it. Obviously, there's an energetic approach, all sorts of different approaches. But fundamentally, yes, your body can be in an absolutely natural state of health absolutely all the time, no matter what it has been through. It can always have the ability, it always has the ability to repair. Because again, remember, what are you actually doing? You're not actually changing that body. You're shifting yourself back into a parallel reality wherein the body is, by definition, healthy. So the answer, in a sense, is yes and no. Linearly speaking, in time-space perspective, yes, the body can heal itself from anything. Mechanically speaking, from a physics point of view, the body actually never has to heal itself. You just have to shift your consciousness into a body that's already healthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but even if you change your consciousness, something happened to you physically, your consciousness will realign your body and the cells in your body. I mean, what if something already happened physically to you? You can't undo that, or...
I'll say it once again. The body that is injured is one body in one parallel reality. The body that is healthy is another body in another parallel reality.
So we take on new bodies and others.
Yes.
So you're saying I'm going to be a different physical body
When
tomorrow?
I talk about the idea that you are shifting through billions of parallel realities every second, I am saying that everything is different, including your body. Because that's just a projection. It's part of the projection of the parallel reality. I'm not saying your original body is moving through parallel realities. I'm saying your consciousness is shifting into the body that's already in that parallel reality. See the difference?
Yeah, I can.
Are you sure?
I mean, it's kind of hard to understand this concept.
It is.
A little bit, yeah. Okay,
Well,
so
one moment. Do you drive an automobile?
Yes.
All right. You are the consciousness. The car is your body.
Mm-hmm.
Now you take a trip to another country and you rent a car. Same consciousness, different body. You're in a different reality. What's so hard to understand about that?
We can do that in a lifetime. We can change that.
You are doing it all the time, billions of times a second. You're doing it so fast you don't know you're doing it. That's what we're telling you. Become aware of the fact that you're actually not the same person, literally, physically, from moment to moment, and you will start to understand that the person you are right now can be anything you choose to be, because you can choose what parallel reality to shift to by design and by definition, and you will thus then, by definition, simply be the consciousness looking out of the eyes of the body that's already the version of you that is already in that parallel reality, in the same way that when you go to another country, you're driving a car that's already in that country.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Same idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Take me literally. Take me literally. This is actually literally physically happening because physical reality is just an illusion anyway. Your physical body isn't real. Your
Feels real.
experience of it is real, but it's just a projection of your consciousness anyway. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes. Yes.
And does that help you? And does that help you? And does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Illness, I'm assuming it's chosen before you come into this world, or is it
Not
attracted?
always. Not always. Again, remember, we are now speaking linearly, colloquially, just to have the conversation. Sometimes there are things set up, as you would say, linearly before this life, that may be the way you feel you need to explore a certain theme. Sometimes you leave it open to how the theme will be explored. And if you find yourself gravitating toward belief systems that by definition would simply automatically attract disease, dis-ease, then you may allow yourself to fall into that experience just because that's one of the things that might have been the result of simply going down that path. It doesn't necessarily have to be decided beforehand, although the theme of exploration may have been decided, but the expression of that could have been done in any number of ways. So it just depends on what it is you have chosen to explore as to how specific the choice has to be. Sometimes things are planned to the second. Sometimes they're left very general, just as a way of saying, well, it could be this, it could be that. As long as it allows me to explore the theme I wish to explore, it could be a disease, it could be an accident, it could be finding something, it could be any number of different things. It just depends on how you wish to have that experience. Make sense?
Yeah, so in that sense, like, it's not necessarily attracted or not necessarily a response to resistance, it's just you wanted to grow and that was your opportunity to grow.
It could be that, but you have to be able to tell the difference by exploring what it is you're getting out of it. That will usually tell you why that happened and whether it was simply a choice of the moment or the result of a resistance or something that you had probably planned, and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, in any event, no matter what the causation in terms of the original choice, no matter how you brought it to yourself, the bottom line is really, what did you learn by having that experience? Because that's what will allow you to shift to something else. Once you learn the lesson, there's no reason for any condition to stick around. Make sense?
Yeah, so in that sense, it's like, if this was a life theme or it became a life theme, it can totally be changed and resolved once I've learned the lessons that it was supposed to teach me.
Yes.
And the way to let go of it is to stop your belief system that you have to have this in your life and just move forward.
To not resist it, to not devalue it, to not judge that it shouldn't be there, because obviously it is there. So if it's there for some reason. So if you accept that it's there for some reason and learn what it is you need to learn, then it will have done its job and it will go on its way. Nothing sticks around that's already done its job. It's only resistance to it that makes it stick around because you're refusing to allow it to do its job by saying it has no part in your life when obviously if it's in your life, it does.
Okay.
Make
and
sense?
It makes sense. And then last question, when you're physically feeling something, I don't know if you have this experience, but when you feel pain or discomfort or fatigue or something, it's in your body. How do you not feel it? I mean, it's just really impossible. I know you may not have a body.
Nothing
but
is impossible, first of all. The idea is, of course, is that on your planet there are many people called yogis and other practitioners and shamans who have developed the ability to allow the idea of pain to be transformed. You understand?
Yeah.
You can do that too if you wish. But again, you must remember at the same time that because many of you have simply agreed to go along with a collective consensus of what physical reality is all about, some things you allow to simply be on automatic. So yes, when you have stubbed your toe, you will usually have some kind of painful sensation because you have agreed on the laws of physical reality, and thus then you simply don't need to take the time to circumvent that. At the same time, if it is of value to your particular exploration and your theme and your life lessons to understand how to transform that sensation into something else, then take some time to explore how the people that are already doing it on your planet do so. It's really mostly a matter of simply shifting your attention or redefining what it is you are experiencing.
Mm-hmm. So you can redefine anything, even the worst thing.
It's just energy. It's just vibrating energy. You can redefine all of it and have a completely different sensation. Have you not yourself seen or heard of demonstrations of what you call hypnosis, where a person is told that their skin is being touched with a lit cigarette and they blister when in fact it was just a person's finger? Have you not also conversely seen where people have been touched with a lit cigarette and not blistered because they were told it was just a person's finger? Have you not understood this idea?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think's happening there?
Their
They
mind.
believe
Yeah, they believe.
the reality they are being told.
Yeah.
Thus, then that is the response.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So anything can be transformed as long as the focus, as long as the energy, as long as the perspective says one thing, then whatever is not the vibration of that belief will never have the ability to affect that person.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please remember, this is just simple physics. That's all this is. And more precisely, not only is it just simple physics, it's simple physics. It's not that complicated once you understand the nature of the structure of consciousness and existence. It all makes sense.
Hello, Mr. Rock.
And to you, good day.
I understood you talking about different levels of consciousness when I'm viewing myself as my old me that I am now versus the visualization of me, my ideal of,
Yes.
of how myself is.
Yes.
And I can viscerally feel the difference between the two.
All right, good.
But I get stuck mentally for myself.
How exciting.
I find myself more often than not
Yes.
vibrating at that lower self that I don't want to be.
So why are you choosing that?
I don't know.
Well, but that's the question. Because remember, what did we say about habit and pattern? When you say to us, I find myself, or I have a tendency to, those phrases simply really mean I'm choosing for my own reasons that idea, that vibration, that reality. So the question to ask is, what would I have to believe is true about my relationship to this thing in order for me to choose that vibration, that idea, that reality? Find out what the definition is you're buying into that makes that seem like the preferable choice. Listen, you all have the same mechanism of motivation. You all are motivated by exactly the same mechanism. You always, and I mean always, and I mean unerringly, absolutely, always, without exception, always move in the direction of what you believe to be more pleasurable, more positive, and always move away from what you believe to be more painful and more negative. Always. So the question is, if you understand that that mechanism exists, yet you find yourself choosing things, find yourself doing things that are representative of non-preferable, painful things, that should tell you something immediately. What it tells you is, you have somehow attached to the thing that you say ought to be more pleasurable something that makes it seem less pleasurable than the thing you keep choosing, no matter how painful it is. Find out what that definition is you have attached to the thing you keep choosing that makes it seem like the more pleasurable choice. For example, we often use this analogy. We know that on your planet, your children are often taught very contradictory, very polarized belief systems. Love of money is the root of all evil. If you don't make a lot of money, you're a failure. How do you reconcile those two beliefs? So the idea is you often have beliefs that are at war with each other. So if you realize, one day you wonder, why can't I attract abundance? You suddenly remember, because I was taught that if I love money, I'm an evil person. Well, it's more important to me, more important than money, to not be a bad person. So if I continue to believe that money makes me bad, I will always keep money at bay. Always. Because that's my preference, to not be bad. But if you realize that you've linked that belief to the idea of money, then you can say, oh, wait a minute, that makes no sense. I can have money, I can be totally abundant in many ways, and I know that doesn't mean I have to be a bad person. Once you dissociate, once you unlink those contradictory, polarized beliefs, then you can realize you can make different choices and that they will stick, because you no longer have an overriding belief that you must choose this over that, because you've attached belief systems to them that are really representative of what you prefer, even though they may be contradictorily attached to opposing beliefs. Do you understand?
Yes.
Does this help you?
Yes.
So find out, when you choose something, first of all, recognize it is always a choice. Like we said, if it's conscious, it's a choice. A habit is unconscious. A pattern is unconscious. If you're aware of it and you say, well, I recognize that I keep choosing, I recognize I have a tendency to, I recognize that, then you're aware of it. And so it's a choice. Own it. It's a choice. All right, I'm making a choice to choose something I don't prefer. Why would I do that? Then you can start finding out, what would I have to believe is true about this thing, about my relationship to this thing, to keep choosing it when I know I don't really prefer it? What would I have to believe is true about it? Then let yourself communicate with those portions of your consciousness that have the answer. If you be quiet and really investigate it, you'll get an answer, either internally or through synchronicity in your outer reflected reality. You'll get an answer, but you have to ask the question and be open and willing to receive an answer to really understand what the belief is that allows you to believe that's the choice you need to make. Because it's all predicated on definition, it's all predicated on belief. If you don't have a definition, if you don't have a belief, you don't feel any one way about anything, and you don't make any choices about anything at all. So it all comes from belief, it all comes from definition. Find out what it is, recognize it has nothing to do with what you prefer, let it go because you don't want to be a belief thief, and move on. All right?
What if I have trouble,
What if you have what?
difficulty?
What if you have what? Why would you have trouble? Do you understand that what you're saying right now is a belief?
Yes.
I believe that if I move ahead in this process, my definition of this process automatically labels it as difficult and troublesome. Do you understand? That's a belief. It is not empirically true that the process is difficult. It's not built in. It's not automatic. It's not a given. It's your belief that the process will be difficult. So why believe that? You understand? You have to catch yourself at every phrase and hear yourself spouting beliefs. It's not a given. Many of you say those things as if they're carved in steel. Well, everyone knows this is difficult. No, they don't. Only you think it is. Maybe many other people believe the same thing, but who cares what they believe? What do you prefer to believe?
I prefer to believe that it's simple and easy.
Then when you vibrate in that frequency, you will get the synchronicity that brings you the opportunities that you can act on that will be simple and easy opportunities if you truly believe it can be that simple. But if you don't, it won't. But it's all what you believe. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you believe it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I hope my question is not repetitive.
Would you repeat that?
I hope no. I'm a mother,
Oh, all right.
and I wanted to ask you about the concept of worry.
Worry.
Yeah,
Well, what are you worried about?
my kids.
Why?
Well, I spoke with you before about my son had some mental health problems,
I understand, but what are you worried about?
that it will happen again.
So?
I don't want
mean to make light of it, but really, so?
I feel like I'm creating it. I don't.
Don't you
want it
think
to
the child has a hand in creation as well?
Well, he keeps telling me to stop playing doctor and he's okay.
Then why don't you pay attention?
Okay.
Why not let the child heal you? Because in many ways, the child is behaving more like the parent. Learn that this is a co-creation. Learn that this is an agreement. Learn that this is an orchestration. Pay attention to what the child is saying. Take it to heart, that there is a reason for what is going on in the relationship on all levels, including physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Learn from it together. It's a journey you've decided to take together. It's not a one-sided thing. The weight of the world is not just on your shoulders. So you can let that go and walk down the path hand in hand with the child by also paying attention to when the child becomes the mentor and when the parent needs to be the child for a while, and pay attention to the guidance from the parent. Does that make sense?
The guidance for the parent, that's me.
The guidance from the child that is behaving more like a parent than the parent is. Do you understand?
Okay. I'm going to work on that.
Well, you can either work on it and work up a sweat, or you can simply accept and allow and discover what comes from that allowance, rather than walking down the path constantly worrying that you're on the wrong path, which is not possible. The only way to miss an appointment is by spending time worrying you'll miss the appointment. The only way to not be on your path is by assuming that you're off it. So the idea is that obviously you set this up together, and you just need to pay a little bit more attention that the child knows more than you might think. Now, that doesn't mean you can't guide, but also you must listen and be guided. It's a concert. It's a give and take. It's an agreement. It's a collaboration. All right?
Yes. I'd like to ask you a question about my voice, which we have spoken about before.
Yes.
When am I going to get my voice back?
That depends. When will you have something that you need to say? The idea really for you is multifold in terms of its symbology. And right now, relevant to the issue you have just raised regarding your child, it's really a symbol of you don't really need to say so much. You really need to listen more. You understand? When you listen with the proper degree of balance, you'll get your voice back, but only to the extent that you actually need to say something. This is your own governor, your own self-regulating methodology of making sure that you don't actually say more than you need to say. The more you try to say more than you need to say, the harder it will be to say anything. When you start relaxing into the idea of just listening and trusting and not worrying so much and know that you don't need to say as much as you think you do, your voice will be there for the things that actually need to be said. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right.
But one time you told me that there's other ways to communicate.
There are. And you can learn that as well if you haven't done so already. But the first step in communication is listen to what is actually being said to you. All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank